Howdy, folks. Thanks so much for having me here today. Excited to be joining you. I've been deploying interactive technology into public spaces for 20 years, which sounds, I feel so old saying that. But this is about 2006, touchscreens in restaurants called U-Wink. This was before tablets. This is touchscreens from China, little Mac Minis behind them. But this is when I fell in love with big group social games. All these people are playing a big trivia game together in real time. And it was a real sort of counter to Facebook. Here, I'll go back there if you want. A real counter to Facebook, which, you know, 2004, everybody's on their phones and together live less. And I was really obsessed with the idea of getting people together live in public. Met my co-founder, who was also frustrated with the fact that people weren't together live. And we were both engineers, USC and UCLA, computer science and electrical, robotics, but also trained clowns. And we thought, hey, bringing some fun and play into the world was something we could help with. So here we started a high-tech circus called 2-Bit Circus, started building a whole variety of different kinds of things that we could bring out into the world. One of them, you know, spectacles for brands. This is literally a cloud that rains tequila. They wanted to, the Mexican Board of Tourism wanted to troll the people of Berlin. So every time it would rain in Berlin, it would rain tequila out of our cloud. But what we really cared about was, you know, bringing people together, public entertainment. This pre-escape rooms, we opened what we called VICE, the Versix Institute for Counter-Espionage. This was a multiplayer adventure played at a physical location. And in fact, we didn't have the term escape room. Escape rooms weren't a thing yet. And so we had to describe it with a paragraph. You know, VICE, immersive at a physical location. And people were asking us, like, wait, do you download it? It's a mobile app? We're like, no, you come, you buy a ticket, you play this thing. And just trying to get people over the hump that it was a physical thing was really non-trivial. But we had our friends filmed as these like Charlie's Angels style characters. You had to get through rooms of laser beams, identify stuff with UV paint. And so we had overlaid this adventure around this arts district, a whole city block of downtown Los Angeles. And it was, you know, for us, even at that point, like, what is there a business model here? Like, this is, you know, what are we doing? So we thought, well, hey, Dave & Buster's has got scale. What if we take the empty party rooms that they have? We built this spaceship room, multiplayer spaceship room. So you had a pilot there at the front, the weapons system in the back, the engineer on the side, power management, everybody working together to pilot this spaceship. And, you know, Dave & Buster's got these empty party rooms. They got 100 locations. We thought, hey, there's all of a sudden maybe a way to get to some scale. Ended up doing a lot more work with Dave & Buster's. In the early days of the Oculus DK1, we got a bunch of early headsets before they'd launched. Dave & Buster's was very curious, hey, how are people going to engage with this tech? Is it hard to operate? You know, how much do people want to pay for it? What are the logistics in running VR in public? And so we built some of the first VR attractions since the 90s. This is a 4-player driving game. We had head tracking on there before even Oculus had head tracking. And did the same for IndyCar, built our own 360 cameras to, you know, be able to strap them to race cars and operate it in public for the Super Bowl, 15,000 people. What's it like to run down the football field? Same for the Olympics. You know, I always laugh. We got a bunch of nerds doing all this sports stuff. And, you know, we had just no idea who we were talking to or why it was, it's really special to the people that loved sports. But, you know, ultimately built this big traveling carnival as an opportunity to be able to get, you know, get folks back in public, you know, striking people with lightning. You know, this was just down the street here in San Pedro. One half all of our high-tech entertainment and one half a bunch of hands-on projects to inspire kids to be able to build their own stuff. And so, you know, we thought, well, the dunk tank of falling in water is okay. Water's fine, but fire is freaking awesome, right? And so ours, we immerse you in a fireball. You get immersed in this dunk tank, but you don't die because you're wearing a fire suit. This may be my favorite photo in our whole canon here. You know, taking all those tools so the kids could then go and build their own stuff. This kids built their own arcade cabinet, throwing their own carnival. So we launched a whole foundation to be able to do that. We're in half the schools of Los Angeles. Kids, you know, we collect all this clean waste. Kids build their own games. use all of the various tools we deploy, and then they're building their own dunk tank. Of course, this is made out of water, so a little safer. This is our latest thing. This is an open source arcade cabinet. So now the kids can build literally their own from soup to nuts. We publish these files for free on how to cut this with a CNC router table. We're open sourcing the operating system configuration and all the games, and then building a payment platform so that a kid can both build this thing, full STEM and STEAM learning, and then deploy it to a coffee shop or a laundromat, and all of a sudden they're making money. It's a 100-year-old business model. They scan a little, a customer would be able to scan a little QR code, split the money with the venue, and they're off and running with their own little business. So really excited about this one. And in 2013, the incredible Bob Cooney, VR legend, introduced me to Zero Latency. This company out of Australia said, "Hey, there's this. They're coming to. They'd like to come to America." So we exhibited them, and this was, right in line with the stuff that I care about of dynamic, interactive environments. The movie theater has been such a massive deployment for humanity, right? You deploy the atoms, all the projectors and the seats, and you can change the bits, right? You can be a documentary in the morning, it can be a horror at night. It's going to change in 2 weeks so the same people can come back. And that dynamism is a superpower for the business model, right? Because most entertainment deployments you can put in tourist places, Orlando and Vegas and New York, and you need a fresh crop of tourists to rationalize to the business model. You need more people, new people to come back because most people aren't going to come at the same time. But a movie theater, you can put in every town in America because on average, the same people would come back 4 times a year. And that was enough to make the business model work for locals. But most modern entertainment is a oncer. You go once and you don't need to come back. But something like Zero Latency was all of a sudden, hey, here's a bunch of atoms. You deploy the physical headsets. You could change the bits. They had a zombie shooter that was terrifying for adults, and they had a little kid fun, bubble shooter for youth, and they had a puzzle game in the middle. All these different styles using the same kind of infrastructure. And so this, for me, was right in line with where I believe the future's heading and want to go. And so we ended up in 2016 starting the design for what we call micro amusement parks. This is a term we just made up, but the idea is smaller than a ginormous amusement park, but still big enough to be able to showcase a variety of different entertainment, variety of different methodologies. Early rendering from that time period. You can see we've got here the live action pinball, a whole interactive game show theater, those story rooms, virtual reality, a robot bartender. So that was sort of our initial designs, some early initial renderings, a full food and beverage, an interactive game show theater. And we ended up taking over place in downtown LA, painted a ginormous Google pin on the roof so that when Google updated their maps, we would have pre-pinned everyone's Google Maps, which literally, I was sitting there at Google Maps just like refresh. And it took a frickin' year, but then it finally happened and we got a Clio award for that, which is sort of fun. But the thing I think was so cool is all these different renderings, you can then compare them to real life. I mean, there's the rendering, and even the colors sort of matched, right? There's the arcade and the bar on the side with the big carousel and the carnival on the side. And sure enough, the carousel, the arcade, this is that interactive theater, early rendering of that theater. The actual real thing ended up being, this is one version of it. We ended up ripping out all of these seats and replacing them with a little dynamic box I'll show you later. But this was another dynamic environment, right? This was a wine tasting interactive experience, but it also went to a more raunchy sort of dating experience. There was a morning kids experience. Another kind of early rendering of our Medway, and then the actual thing. Robot bartender and the actual robot bartender. We've made 3 robot bartenders. I do not recommend doing that. They are hard and expensive, and humans are fast and excellent. These are big interactive trackballs and whatnot. So Hyperdeck's another example, just like Zero Latency. And if you see here on the sides, You've got these little pills. This is huge amounts of wind. Up here, these are heating elements. This thing itself is a motion platform. And so Hyperdeck, we were their first installation, after they launched. And this is another great example of that sort of bits and atoms. There was a wonderful sort of 80s rocker band experience. You could go in a very kiddie-oriented sort of dreamlike experience, and there was the very scary, sort of zombie experience. But in every one of them, you went past something that was hot, you felt the heat on your face. You accelerated, the entire thing lifted up and helped you feel that movement. And for those that have not spent a ton of time in VR, the synthesis of those additional elements, the motion platform, the wind, I mean, that just completely completes the immersion and that XR experience. So this is that game show with a bunch of these little boxes instead of the physical things built into tables. A lot more fun when you get people's eyes off the screens and up looking at the screen, all with just the buttons in front of them. Again, subtle things like that getting people's faces out of their phones, out of their screens, a lot more social, a lot more fun to get people out and having fun. I just love this one because these people are all in AR, in an incredible experience, and people outside are like, what are they looking at? This is amazing. They're clearly fascinated with what's going on, and everybody else is like, nope. But what they're looking at is this incredible eggscape. The wonderful developers out of Argentina, and there's these tiny little characters that they're navigating. They're all in the same shared world, and these tiny, fragile little eggs are getting just absolutely bombarded with all sorts of stuff. You're trying to save them from destruction. So, thinking about the future and the next, what's next, I keep coming back to these fundamental tenets, right? Humans are social, and we actually don't do a great job of that as well as we used to. This book, Lost Connections, really covers just the detriment of not having friends. And this guy tried all the different drugs, all the different ways to feel better. And in the end, the right answer, having friends. It didn't need a whole bunch of extra narcotics. And this is another great way to put it, right? The magnitude of having social relationships is like smoking, right? That's the impact on your life. This Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt, is an incredible book. Finally put real data to what everybody was feeling about their kids being so sad and depressed. And the reality is, kids on their phones, social media is terrible for girls, video games terrible for boys. The thing that they should be doing is playing together outside. And so, when the Surgeon General comes out and says that, hey, loneliness is a problem, that's an issue. So humans are social. This Bowling Alone book is over a decade old, and it's still relevant. The thing that he said is as churches and union attendance and all the ways we used to get together in public goes away, what happens is people disengage civically as well, right? As out of sight, out of mind. As you stop seeing friends, you stop seeing people locally, they stop caring about their community. So humans are social. Immersion. We know immersion is awesome. Real life is freaking super immersive. How do we do that and add a narrative? And so some of my favorite experiences ever. I mean, I am a total experience junkie. These are shots from the Jejune Institute in San Francisco, which was a augmented reality experience, narrative scavenger hunt overlaid on the streets of San Francisco. You started with this little map here on the side that you got out of a little, lawyer's room. You ended up in a little gift shop in order to find this that you had to properly frame in Coit Tower, calling random phone numbers. I mean, this was 2010, again, sort of pre-escape rooms, but so magical. My mind was in this experience, traveling down the financial district in a way that made me completely forget about myself, about what I was doing afterwards, just total immersion in the experience. So much so, it actually launched a cult. I don't know how many entertainment experiences you've known that have launched a cult, but this is a documentary about how immersive that experience was that it launched a cult. I highly recommend watching The Institute. Really fascinating about Jeff Hull's work. But it was that good, and more sort of levels of immersion. This is Magic Quest in Myrtle Beach. Kids get to put on a wizard equipment, and then they've got a wand, and this wand has a little bit of IR that comes out of it, uniquely identifies the kid. So they get to run around, collecting equipment for different kinds of spells and whatnot, and then ultimately do battle with real wizards and collect their spells and collaborate with their friends. This was so popular they installed it in all the Great Wolf Lodges across the country. Not only could it be in big dedicated spaces like this, but all the common areas, right? So it's in the hallways, it's in the stairwells, it's overlaid on the normal environment that is otherwise a hotel and water park. And then, there's the magic, right? Humans are social, immersive is getting amazing, and there's some really great demonstrations of what, kind of truly magical could look like. This is a Netflix show called The Memories of Alhambra. This is Alhambra, Spain, here in the background. And this sci-fi show takes place right as we have augmented reality contacts in our eyes. And it's not well distributed yet, but a kid has made a great game on the streets of Alhambra. And a player has to go into the church in order to talk to the woman. You can see she's sort of a little ethereal here. She doesn't exist. She's just in his AR goggles. He goes into the local furniture store, which is actually the weapons dealer, does battle with a bad guy in the middle of the town square. And so you have this amusement park literally overlaid on the streets of Alhambra. So I just love this image. This is from Keiichi Matsuda. It's sort of a dystopian version of what kind of an AR world would look like, but they've got games sort of running all over in the middle of this grocery store. And then this one is possibly my favorite, this VFX expert, Ron. This is his kid running through an empty field, but in the headset, right, there's lava, there's coins to collect, there's breakaway bridges and all these different things, That's awesome. That would be freaking spectacular. And then make it social, get a bunch of people out there. This is a future that I just absolutely can't wait for. We've talked about a lot of entertainment so far, but for those who are familiar with The Experience Economy, which is a great book, Pine and Gilmore, almost a tome at this point, the very final chapter of that book, after talking about experiences being the future, they say, hey, after experiences are everywhere, and that's the way that we differentiate, which is already there today, the next phase is transformation, right? And those experiences, it won't be enough for those experiences to be fun. They will want to be transformative in some case. And if you've not seen the game, it is just such an absolutely incredible movie, still holds up decades later. What's his name? Michael Douglas is sitting there as this jerk billionaire. And he does no empathy, he's not nice to anybody, and then he goes through this wild immersive experience, and on the other side of it, becomes a nice guy. Now, I'm not advocating for burying people alive in Mexico like happens to him, but there's nothing like real life experience to inform you and change you, and I think this is a really good example. And as we saw in the keynote, the biggest deployments of VR are all for training, and people learn better in training. So this is Walmart's training, they're doing it for pharmacies, Bank of America. This is empathy building, for dementia. I love the study out of Sweden. You will work out harder in VR than you will in real life. So being able to sort of use the technologies of this for transformation is sort of really there. It's my little brother, who's clearly a God-level nerd, with doing Beat Saber with weights on his arms and legs so that it's a workout for him. So I like being reminded that VR and AR are perfect for things that are dire, dangerous, impossible, rare, expensive. Ubisoft, the really great game company made Assassin's Creed, has the best scans of Notre Dame on Earth. So great that they are being used to recreate the damaged church. And I think that this is a really special reminder that that they made that for entertainment, and it's also an incredible application for learning and exposing kids in a way that you couldn't get a bunch of middle schoolers out to the middle of Paris, especially now when it's under construction. So we've been building in this space now on the augmented reality side really quite a lot. I met this incredible guy a couple of years ago, not this big purple blob, but this guy right here, Aiden Wolf, at AR House, when he was bringing tons of nerds through an accelerator he had. And he opened my eyes to how ready today AR is for this sort of downloadable theme park. This is actually my mom in the middle of a wizard battle with the CEO of Atari there. They are just dueling with each other. This is that same wizard battle. Two people, in AR, a curtain between them, throwing spells, defending from each other. And this is two of our security guards on drift trikes wearing headsets. And what you'll see here is a multiplayer world. Hold on. This is multiplayer. They are in the headset, full-blown drift trike coin collecting. And as a multiplayer game, I just collected coins that the person behind me can't get. Right? This world doesn't exist. I had my heart rate at 130 and took my head out of the headset and was like, I can't believe that whole course is gone. Right? So this entire world, multiplayer, was all just in the headset. This is that same racetrack in a completely different venue. Here they are going through gates, breaking through. It's just tons of fun. Every amusement park needs ride vehicles. We've been experimenting with these ridiculous stuffed animal mobility scooters. He's in the middle of getting breaking through a whole bunch of demolition derby objects because we don't yet have one of these Honda extended reality devices. But God, I can't wait for one. So if anybody wants to lend me one, I would love that. Please follow along. We've got a setup downstairs. Sign up on our website. We've got a whole bunch of things we're doing down in the exhibit hall. We've got a number of the things I just showed you, as well as a whole shooting gallery. We'd love to hear what you think, and hopefully we'll all end up like this kid, with that level of awe and wonder, the rest of this week. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, Brett. I think we've got maybe 2 minutes for any questions, if anybody has any. Anyone? Nope. Oh, over here.
When are you reopening 2-Bit Circus?
Yeah, good question. So we have a pop-up in downtown LA right now. It's about 6,000 square feet on Imperial. It's literally the north wall neighbor of our of the old building. We will not be reopening the building on Mateo. 634 is closed for good. Yeah.
Pop-up is open now?
The pop-up is open now. Yeah, we'll be open it's open Wednesday through Monday. We're closed Tuesday and Wednesdays. Yeah.
Cool, I'll be checking that out. Any other questions? Nope. All right, well, thank you, Brett.